let me ask you.
Uh-huh.
I have another friend who separated from her husband, and she said something that got me thinking. She said when she got divorced, a lot of her married friends stopped talking to her, and they. Is that true?
Yes, it happens a lot.
Are you kidding?
It happens a lot. But also, one thing I did discover is that single women are severely disrespected after. Okay, I should rephrase that. You realize that if you've been with the same person the last 25 years, you haven't been naked with somebody else in this new body because you've had children and now
Kids are not where they used to be.
Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Teresa Onuka, and today I'm speaking with my dear friend Sophina Gapare, who is a healthcare executive, and Sophina is going to be speaking with us on her journey to rediscovery after divorce. Welcome, Sophina.
Thank you.
So, Maya Angelou once said, life's beautiful journeys often begin with a painful exit or painful situation. Sophina, you were married for 23 years.
That's correct.
And you decided to get a divorce. How did you go through the decision? How did you feel? What were the emotions? When did you first realize that this isn't working and I need to make a change?
Nowadays I like to look at it as every part of my life it has a season.
Okay.
And I look back at my 23 years of marriage, and there were some really good years, and I have a beautiful son, very sensible young man, and so I never look back at it as a bad period. But I think, speaking for myself, I think at some point, deep down I knew, okay, this is no longer working. But I think for divorce and the process, you can use the analogy of like the grief cycle, where you start off with denial, and then you move into the bargaining stage, and you're there for quite a long time, where you are negotiating with yourself around, okay, but what does this mean? What will life look like? But surely I can overlook this, and surely this we can continue to make this work. And my son was, at a pretty critical time school-wise, and I kept thinking, oh, maybe I can just hang on until he's done with school, so as not to be disruptive. But I think I just got to a point where you kind of have a trigger event that makes you realize that no, actually, this idea that I can hang on,
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. But also, does it really benefit him if
You hang on.
you hang on? And and you kind of get over the bargaining, and one day you get to acceptance, and you start the process. And I, interestingly, went through my divorce during COVID. Let me tell you something. I did a lot of walking. I have never walked so much in my life as I did during COVID, because I think walking is a way of just...
It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, therapeutic, and you also can process stuff. So I think of it as I guess I walked my way into the decision and going through that process. So yeah, it was a journey, and I don't know that you ever really say it's just one thing and then it's one day you make a decision and it's done. It's an entire journey and process through different emotions, good days, bad days, but yeah, it kind of leads you to a different season.
Okay, so you're from Zimbabwe and your ex was Kenyan, I believe.
Yes, I was.
So did culture and family, the background, did it did they play a role in your thought processes of should I not? Because I know in Nigeria, Nigerians were very religious, and and for me, my faith, divorce is like the last option. So all those type of cues and beliefs, did they hinder or extend this your journey, your thought process on coming to the decision when you finally did?
Yeah, I mean, I think culture is a big aspect, and I think if I can go back a little bit, you know, obviously I'm from Zimbabwe. I married a Kenyan, and then we met actually in the UK. So there's three cultures at play, right? And then I think in my mind I always thought that we're all Africans, so it's all going to be the same. But actually, there are some fundamentals that will be different. And in our 20s, I don't think we're thinking about all those things. And then the other thing that happens, right, is that I think African communities as a whole, and maybe I can only speak for Zimbabweans, is our families will be supportive of marriage. So there's a process. There's a process around
divorce as well.
Well, there's a process around getting married, and there's a lot of support. And the processes are very clear. So, like for us in Zimbabwe, I'm from the Shona tribe, and the process is that if I meet my young man and I want to move to the next stage, there is a designated auntie called Tete that I go to and I introduce them. Yes, and then she passes on the message, and then they set the day, the Rora day, where he comes to pay, and then he's welcomed into the family, and then family supports you. So it's a very clear process, and maybe there's some support, right? Where when you have challenges in the marriage, there's obviously the church and counseling, but there's also a strong family support because, like, I know that, if I'm having a problem, I can go to the husband's side. There should be some aunties that I can go to say we need help, right? But actually, I don't know that help is necessarily geared towards, okay, actually, things are really not working and we're going to go our separate ways. I don't think that help extends to that. And then there's a large part of our community and culturally that just doesn't support it, and maybe plays a real big role in you deciding to proceed with it, right? Because are you going to be supported if you decide to make this big move? So part of the process of deciding is figuring out, who am I going to tell? How am I going to tell them? What is their reaction? What does this mean? Do I change in their eyes? Do I become a different person? Am I a disappointment? There's all these things that happen. I don't know that our society necessarily supports that. Yeah, there's a legal support, but not
family.
Yeah.
Okay, you said something just now about who do you become. So in your marriage, who were you? What was your identity?
I think, I don't necessarily know that it's something I thought about while I was in the marriage, because you know you go through school, you finish school, the next bit is you go to university, you meet a guy, you get married, and then you have children. Yeah. I don't think that you're spending a lot of time thinking, who am I? And maybe who you become is dictated by your experiences, what you have seen, and what you have been told you should, what a good wife should be. There's the culture, there's the Bible, there's just general society rules, right? So but I also think that then maybe the individual family that you come from. I come from a pretty strong-minded. I have very strong-minded siblings.
Yeah, your brothers.
And then I also professionally, happen to be.
Let me mention. I forgot to mention. Sophina is in the healthcare. She's a boss lady, an executive. She has a background in oncology, but she's a healthcare madam. Didn't play with her. Go on.
Yeah, but I think so. It's interesting, right? The kind of deciding, okay, you're in your family setup, you become maybe a different person versus your professional setup. But I don't think I really thought too much about my identity until I was leaving. Yeah, the marriage, because I think it's just you take it as a given, and maybe for me it is a blessing, right? That I don't feel like I ever really had to question my identity or who I am. But perhaps once I was now in the era of divorce, I was like, oh, actually, I have to reframe myself to a certain extent, because after a certain period of time,
you have a family, so you are a wife, and you imagine you're going to have spend the rest of your life with this person. So they're a big part of your identity, and then suddenly you're like, oh, okay, it's just me, and you almost then start thinking about a new identity and um, creating a new one, or actually thinking what you want your new identity to be.
Okay. So while this was going on, once you made the decision, finances, how did did you have to start from rock bottom? For like some women who are going through this, they might be like, oh, do I start from rock bottom again, or do I stay, security? How did you navigate through that?
Okay, so I was very fortunate in the sense that I guess I was working, and I pretty financially independent, so I didn't have to think about the finances as much, in the sense that
You had your own money.
yeah, but I think that I was lucky and I was fortunate. I do think it is a big factor that stops women making that decision. And so, if I were looking back, I think it definitely, although I knew I had a job, a secure job, and I could probably manage on my own, it certainly was a consideration, because there's no getting away from the fact that when you split up or go through a divorce, you something will change financially, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but you cannot have the expectation that it will always be the same. Something will change, and you will have to make some hard decisions. And I think it is entirely possible that as a female, or even I guess as a male, right, but I can speak from the female perspective, is it may make you think, okay, I need to just hang on for 6 months and actually plan. So I mean, unless you are physically in danger, I think you actually have to plan for it. It's not a I just wake up and
just decide.
no, it's not a I just wake up and do it. You have to actually plan, because there's a very real reality of, okay, if you have young children, there's childcare. Can you afford the mortgage? Depends if the house is in both names,
And all the legal.
yeah, so there's all that, right? So but I also hear a lot of stories of women saying, "Oh, I'm going to go away with nothing." Okay, that's the one thing that I will say. Going away with nothing is not an option. Please don't play when it comes to finances, because you're going to need to pay the bills even after. I don't care. He can have everything or she can have everything. That's your emotions speaking. Practically, focus.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think the reality will just bring you back to the place where you have to accept that you are moving from a two-income household to a one-income household, and there will be some adjustment that has to be made, and you may make you have to make some hard decisions. Maybe there are things you need to cut out, and maybe you have new expenses that you didn't have before. So yeah, it's
Let me ask you, was there any particular moment you felt lost, and like, did you feel like, so I'm going back to your emotions. Did you feel like I failed? I could have made it work? Was there self blame? And how did you push past these thoughts, these emotions? Some of them may have been valid, or maybe I could have done this better, or whatever. How did you validate yourself and push past these emotions?
I think for me, the idea of being lost probably never really entered my mind until after the divorce, when I was now trying to figure out
What next?
what next. Yeah, because I tell you what happens is that I guess I've always been so busy living and just being
Enjoying life.
yes, enjoyment. I've always been so busy living that I maybe didn't necessarily think too much about it. And then of course you go through this, okay, there's the divorce phase where you the practicalities of the divorce and figuring out your new reality. And I know after the divorce came through, I was like, yay, and
I'm free.
I'm free.
And then
And
reality.
but I actually went through a phase where I I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot.
Intentionally to keep yourself busy.
I don't know that it was intentional and that I knew that's what I was doing, but I don't think I was thinking. I was just like
on cruise control.
And actually doing the most because I was traveling and I was even thinking about relocating and moving to a whole different country.
I remember that.
I was doing a lot. I think I probably spent a good year just doing the most. And then I think one day I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. I just need to just be. And then I went through and maybe that is the phase where I was like, okay, so when I'm not doing all these other things, what next, so I don't know that I would describe it as feeling lost, but I also think that I've been fortunate in that respect, but I can see how one would feel quite lost because, and I wouldn't say that it's an everyday feeling. And yes, definitely there were days when I would be like, okay, now I have to make this decision. I now no longer have somebody to consult. By the way, you start missing things that were not even there. You start telling yourself, oh, but if this person was here, they would have been doing this. Honestly, when you then sit down and look back, you're like, well, were they really doing that? But I think it's all part of the process, right? Of rediscovering and realizing, oh, I can just make this decision. I don't have to consult anybody. I can just make this decision. And if I change my mind, I don't have to explain to anyone. I can just. So, but it's a trade off because then it's also adjusting to the reality of, okay, are you comfortable doing things on your own? Are you
one thought comfortable doing things on your own? I also want you to talk about you wake up in the middle of the night, the other space on the bed is empty. You used to do this together. Now I'm going out for lunch. Oh, I'm going out by myself.
Yeah, that's part of the adjustment.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, I think I've spoken to a friend before who kind of said, I think if I recall the story correctly, she was like, I woke up crying that I had to take the bin out, and if he had been there, he would have taken the bin out. But actually, it's something that you would have done anyway if the person was there. Yeah, and I think I've had similar incidents where, like I said, you start missing things that were not there. But part of that is the discomfort of being alone with your thoughts, with your decisions. Because, I mean, hey, if you've consulted your partner, you always have but we agreed. Now you're agreeing with self, right?
True.
So there is that adjustment, and definitely there's a lot of adjustments. The adjustment of, okay, you are home alone. I know I went through a period of feeling like, oh my goodness, I need to lock the door because I don't know who is going to come in, and you have to be comfortable doing things on your own where maybe you had a partner to do stuff with. And then also, maybe one other area that doesn't get spoken about is the split of family and friends.
Who takes side with who?
Yes, and
who's on whose
people
side?
will tell you that, oh, but we can always be friends on both sides. Do you know what? Maybe eventually you will get to a point where you're friends on both sides, but initially, I firmly believe for you to get past it, you have to pick a side. She picked my side. No, I think it happens naturally. On a serious note, it happens naturally. And also, of course, because if there are other people around you who maybe have gone through it, they will give you advice. And you have to also then pick and choose what you listen to, what you don't.
Exactly.
But even more importantly, and going back to a point you made earlier around who you tell, that is so important in the sense that, not everybody you tell is going to be for you.
This is true.
And not everybody you tell is going to understand. And I think a friend of mine, she kind of has done divorce and separation recovery workshops in the past, where one of the things she talks about is people will say things to you like, oh, but why don't you just stay for the children?
Mm.
Which is fine, right, from their perspective, but hey, that implies to me that I'm making a decision that is entirely selfish. And I'm not thinking about my children. But there will be the journey to making the decision means you probably are thinking of the children.
Absolutely.
So and it's a lesson you learn along the way. It's okay to have some distance from some. Look, there'll be, so I have a few friends who, like, I have one friend who we walk a lot together, and actually, interestingly, I mean, we talk a lot all the time, and I spoke a lot to her during that period. And I was just recently saying to her, it must be a nice change for you, because these days our conversations
It's different.
is different. But actually, I realized it was a phase, a gradual phase, where in the thick of it, you kind of talk. You have your people who maybe you talk to and you tell what you're feeling, how things are going, and they're there to, their team Sophina, and and occasionally they'll need to give you a reality check and say, but
are you sure?
Yeah, and oh, but what about this perspective? Here's a different perspective, especially things like if you have children, does he have access? And yeah, because if you are the one going through it, you naturally, there'll be some decisions you make that are not necessarily the right decision, or not necessarily in the best interest of the children, but you're thinking with your emotions. So it's always also good to have people around you who are reality checkers.
Let me ask you.
Uh-huh.
I have another friend who separated from her husband, and she said something that got me thinking. She said when she got divorced, a lot of her married friends stopped talking to her, and is that true?
Yes, it happens a lot.
Are you kidding?
It happens a lot. But also, one thing I did discover is that single women are severely disrespected after. Okay, I should rephrase that. After divorce, as there's definitely a certain amount of disrespect that comes. And maybe people don't mean it intentionally, but there'll be little comments that people will make that have you thinking, you would never have said that to me previously. But yes, the sometimes married friends may decide, you know what, you're not, because you've made that decision, and you are in a different phase. And for me, I felt like, well, I totally respect that is the position you are taking, and that's okay. Because I'm moving into a different season, and I think they're within their right to decide, right, that in my new season, this new maybe doesn't quite fit in, and that's okay. But what you find is that initially, and I think when that happens, if I were advising somebody, I would say it's okay. It will hurt. It may hurt, and you may question, but I think it's okay. It's actually okay for you at that time.
So you know clearly.
Yeah.
This friendship was based on other stuff.
But also, if you think about it, right, all of us struggle with change. So you represent a change for that person.
And the person is not ready to face that reality.
They also need time to process the change, right? Just like you are processing your change, they are processing, because you have different considerations, right? Because, hey, I'm no longer coming to functions with a +1. I'm maybe now they have to start thinking about,
how will you feel? Will you feel awkward coming?
Yeah, and then also how they feel, right? Because the flip side, remember I talked about the phase where I was doing the most. The flip side is I'm out and about, I'm doing all these things, I'm traveling, and maybe they are not. So there's so many things going on. So I actually would say, if that happens, embrace it at that point in time. Things will settle. Eventually, your people, they'll eventually come back.
So always leave the door open.
Yeah, and you leave the door open, but it is also possible that the relationship with that person moves into a different season.
Level.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Maybe they were in your A circle. Now maybe they moved to B
Or Z.
or Z. That's
Now,
true.
let me ask you. So, a marriage is not just a couple, and divorce is not just a couple. Nathan, your son, how did you tell him? How did you have that conversation with him? And how did you cope with that?
That probably was the hardest bit. But I've been very fortunate. My son is level-headed, and I kind of try to operate on the basis of just being very open and honest and forthright, and also making sure that he has support, and just letting him ask the questions and explaining why things were happening they were.
Truthfully, or do you like sugarcoat?
No, you know what? Again, I think if they're younger, you may need to manage
Embellish.
manage the messaging. But Nathan was like 18 at the time, so I just kind of tried to level up the conversation to his age and level of understanding. But it's something that you do over and over as situations come up. I am in the camp of don't worry about a problem until it happens. So whilst I know that probably it had some impact on him, until I see that impact, I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying that this has happened. I just check in. But you will always champion your side. You are the one who was right. I mean, I'm perfect. So
Now, talking about perfection,
uh-huh.
go back 10 years in your marriage, pre divorce. Is anything, since you're so perfect,
Yes,
is there,
exactly.
is anything you'd have done differently from, or changed anything, your behavior? This also goes to identity. You know, who were you? Were you the one that was always like being the forceful one? I think in my mind, I think I'm the one that sees the evil side of people. People that have ulterior. I mean, so in your identity. So going back, would you have done anything differently?
Um, well, I guess with new information, you look back and think, yeah, maybe I could have done this differently. But maybe the one thing that I would say what I would have done differently, I think, would be to, if something is important, don't actually be vocal about it and
To express yourself.
yeah.
Communication.
Yes, yeah. So it really is about communication, as in, don't just concede when something is really truly important to you, because I think that is also and my personality, right? Is I like to, if I'm unhappy about something, or I want us to discuss it and agree and kind of figure it out. And so and I will kind of keep asking, right? But if the other party isn't necessarily responsive like that, I may just decide, you know what, I'm just going to make a decision and
Get on with it.
yeah. And but what that means, though, right, is that sometimes I will walk away without actually making a point about something that is really pretty big and important to me, because I'll just be like, well, and I think it's down to, I'm a doer. I can do things. So I'll just be like, yeah, okay, fine. I'll just do it anyway. Kind of, which maybe in hindsight, I could, just doing it anyway isn't necessarily going to deliver the result I need. Yes, I will have done it, but there's still an important factor that I am missing. Yeah.
So, lastly, new beginnings.
They're wonderful.
I know you're a connoisseur of wine. You still love to travel.
Yes.
You're not doing much now, but you're taking. I know you were in Thailand not too long ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're still traveling.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how's the date? Have you started dating? Have you? Because I know your brothers were a problem.
So I still travel. So here's the thing about travel, right? And again, maybe just general advice. I love travel. And but in this age of social media, people will be like, oh, you're all over the place. But actually, it so happens I have a job, right, that
you can work. You work remotely.
I work remotely, but my job also involves some travel. But what I have learned over the years is actually capitalize on that. So I will usually tag on a day or two or a weekend for me to do my own thing and experience a place, right? Especially if I get to, I have a passion for traveling. So I've been lucky in that respect. So again, lemon out of lemonades and all that. Because if you're going to have to travel and be away from home, yeah. But that also maybe was not a precursor, but I spoke about the adjustment of doing things on your own. If you travel for work, and you travel a lot, you have to be comfortable going to sit at a restaurant and eating on your own, because otherwise you're going to be eating all your meals. Yeah, and that's no fun. Yeah, exactly. And if you're going to a place, maybe you will never go back there, so you may as well have fun and explore. So there is that. And then I love wine.
We know.
But as my friend Vicky, sommelier extraordinaire from Kenya, she's like, we drink less but drink better.
Quality.
Yes, yeah. So we are definitely in that era and enjoying that. And yeah, so I think it's definitely a good phase to be. And that also includes, right, exploring the dating world. However, it's been traumatic.
Truth be told,
it's been traumatic. Okay, I tell you what. When we are in our 20s and we are dating, I don't think we're really thinking about, this is the kind of man I want, and he must have these qualities, and this is what is important to me, and these are my love languages. We're not thinking all that. We're dating, and then
like a guy.
Yes, and the guy likes you,
and then you just get on with it.
Yeah, and then you get to. So I'll be 51 this year, and then you realize, okay, you haven't dated since you were in your 20s, and okay, this is a spicy little bit, but you realize that if you've been with the same person the last 25 years, you haven't been naked with somebody else in this new body, because you had children, and now
dates are not where they used to be.
Yes, okay. And the stretch marks. See, like I like calling myself Marty the zebra. Yeah. So that brings new insecurities, but also dating has changed since we're in our 20s. Online dating, and then of course I'm around friends who are like, online dating, that sounds so scary, and you're like, you ain't even done online dating, so how do you know? So dating has changed, and then okay, it's also quite trash. Online dating can be, but the streets are wild, as the young ones say. But I think what I have found most challenging, but I think that it's always hard, right? It's a change. It's a change. Absolutely. And then it's a change into something you've never experienced before, because the dating world has changed. But also the recognition that you actually have to date to figure out what you like and don't like. Because you meet someone on a date, or people are asking you, they want to set you up. They ask, so what kind of man do you like? No idea, because
you don't know?
I don't know.
23 years in the
So actually, I think, again, if I were advising somebody who's on this journey, you will date again. And you will probably meet somebody, but there'll be a few frogs along the way. But actually, you won't get to knowing what you want until you try, and you may have to kiss a few frogs. It actually involves dating. So here's the thing, right, is that folks will say, what, but you always, how many dates do you need to go on? And you're like, well, for me to find the person, right, I have to go on a date. And going on a date means, okay, you meet online maybe, or you get introduced. You say, oh, let's meet for coffee or for a drink. And then you say, okay, are we going to chat some more? And then you start chatting. And who knew that men in their 50s are just, they have no conversation skills. Men in their 50s. Um, no, but so it's. I also made an interesting discovery
About yourself.
about myself
dating.
dating. Is that I think for us women, we will find men who are our age or slightly older attractive and maybe slightly younger. And so we're kind of open, but probably we lean more towards same age or older. But
Not necessarily.
yeah, but I mean, and younger, of course, but probably the majority. Yeah,
True.
because society also has us in this place where if the guy is younger, they
Auntie.
yes,
How
yeah,
Yeah.
and then they look and they say, oh, and oh, hey, the term cougar isn't always complimentary.
But it,
Yeah, but in contrast, right, these 50-something-year-old men that we are looking at, they don't want to date the same
want
age.
younger.
They want younger. Although, of course, I have to remind them that, yes, you can date a 35-year-old. Good for you. But if that 35-year-old, they probably want to have children. Do you realize you'll be 65 when this child is 10?
That's another.
And you have high blood pressure, and you have all these yes, and you are still
changing diapers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a whole different because of course, by the way, they'll throw shade and tell us that, oh, you are old. We want you. I can find a younger model. Yes, you can. But yeah, good luck, and that comes with
own things.
Yes, but I think maybe the things that were important to you when you were dating in your 20s are not so important now. Yeah, I mean, we joke around with some friends where we're like, oh, now you're checking, okay, so what do you do to make sure you are living a healthy lifestyle? Are you on medication? Do you have high blood pressure? When was the last time you had your prostate checked? Because those are the realities.
Those are the realities, honestly.
Those are the realities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what have you discovered about Sophina in this your rediscovery and going through it? What is the thing that you're like, oh, Sophina, what is it about you that you discovered about yourself in this your growth and your rediscovery of Sophina? Quality. Yeah.
I think I discovered that I have a very a much softer side that I don't always let people see, and I probably need to let people see that more. In fact, I'm discovering a softer side of me that I didn't know
really
existed truly, because it's like, a muscle, right? You have to keep using it for it to grow. And yeah, I think I always told myself that you don't have to show no weakness.
And I think that has probably as like the daughter.
Yeah.
That also from upbringing and the rewiring of the brain.
Yeah, and actually it was a friend who said to me, because I was complaining that, I don't feel like I'm getting sympathy from some family members or friends. And she was like, yeah, but is that because you tell everybody you're okay? So that's been quite a revelation for me.
Wow. So last words, is there anything you'd like to share with any woman or man that is in the crossroads going through this journey on the decision? I mean, it's just your perspective on should I not? What would you like to share, like a final parting note?
I think whatever decision you make, it's okay. Whatever decision you make, and actually the decision you make today does not have to be the decision tomorrow. If you learn new information tomorrow, you can make and you know what? I think there'll be decisions you make and you think, oh, that was a great decision. There'll be decisions you make and you're like, oh, no, that wasn't a great decision. But learn from it, right? Try not to go back and regret, because you can't undo it, right? All you have is the future. The past is gone, but tomorrow is still to come. And tomorrow, with the information you have, you can make a different decision. And also, it'll be okay. It really will be okay. It may not feel like that tomorrow. What is it that's saying about, the sun the sun will always rise, right?
It will.
It will. The dawn will come. So
Thank you so much, for Sophina.
thank you for having me.
You know, as my people will say, just to add to what you said, last, it's going to be okay.
Yes,
Right?
it will.
Thank you again, Sophina, for being
you.
so vulnerable, for opening up and sharing this rediscovery. Final words, I just want to say rediscovery is a path to new opportunities, new realities, and, opening yourself up to not just new things, but reminding yourself of what was actually there, but you just, shut it up, or it was just covered up. So enjoy your rediscovery. Thank you again to Sophina for joining us.
Thank you.
My name is Teresa Onuka, Creative Director, Needle Point. Thank you for joining us. Bye.